Pandemic report. Yes, I'm down here in the basement slash bunker, working. Well, kind of working. I'm shooting this video, but I gotta get these things done anyways. Might as well do them while I'm down here. And I'm gonna be down here for quite a while, so gotta do some breaks, right? Do something else. Yeah, got some good news, some bad news, pandemic. And other news all around, in terms of what do we want, the good news or the bad news, right? Good news. There have been reports, or a report came out from a lab that has determined that you cannot re-get the COVID-19 virus. So once you've had it for once, you're not going to get sick from it again. There was many cases coming in from other places where people were getting reinfected or thought to be reinfected. But this lab has been able to determine that those were not actual reinfections. They were the tests being used detecting the old dead virus and not a new live virus. So now this, as far as I know, has not been corroborated, but I think it's pretty safe to say, because this is how we believe viruses to normally work. It's not always going to be the case. Obviously, not all of them work that way, but that's one of the fears. As soon as we had reports that some people were getting reinfected, that this was going to be one of those things where, you know what, we're shit out of luck. You can't get rid of this. Once it's here to stay. But no, that's not the case. Once you've had it and you beat it, you should be good. You shouldn't get it again. There may be isolated cases where you do get it again, kind of like chickenpox. Again, we're just finding out about this virus, as we go along. But that is amazing news, because that means that, should we get, it means that any type of vaccination will work. Otherwise, vaccinations wouldn't work. It also means that the people who are doing the blood transfusion type tests and stuff like that, that may be an alternate, working method. So you can get somebody who's had it and beaten it. They should have the antibodies. And you can introduce those antibodies to another person, and hopefully their body will be able to fight the infection as well, or disease, or whatever you want to call it. So that is fantastic news. That is something to look hopeful. Unfortunately, the United States, it seems, has completely opened up. Yes, they still say social distance, wear a mask, and go out and stuff, but I get it. Some of the states where they're less populated, whatever, that's fine. You do still risk, like going out and just pretending it's a, normal day out there. Probably not the best thing, but the percentage of people that you're going to run into, the percentage of interactions with other people from other states and such would probably be a lot lower in certain states. So I get it. For those less populated states, those states who have so much wide open thing outside of the city centers, probably not a bad idea to loosen up some of those restrictions. For the more populated states, places, the things I don't get is the places of amusement. Disney, all these. I've watched some videos of people who are going to these locations which are allowed to open up, and some of them it's just like there is nothing you can do in this place to literally make it so that it's safe. So that there's no virus, so that the virus will not get on the people going in there. So it really is a matter of wear a mask and wash your hands if you are going out, because there really is no safe place out there. There just isn't. They want to congregate and beaches are open. They want people in church. They want all these places where you're going to be in close proximity with people. They want all that to start up again. And I'm like, wow, that's just not cool. And then to throw it on top of that, riots. Yeah. Shit went down. Or it's still going down in the States. And that powder keg that we all said was there, it's blowing. And it's still going. I mean, some places have quieted down a little bit. Some have not quieted down as much as people would like. But I get it. I get it. Like I said, this is a long time coming. And I could not believe that literally Trump was saying roll in the army to stop this stuff, because yeah, that's how you end up with problems. And so luckily there's been some changes happening. I don't know if it's enough. I don't know if it'll last. I don't even know if it's actually going to take place. But some people have been charged. Some people have some actual. This is Minneapolis, I think, mentioned that they are literally going to get rid of the police and replace it. Now that sounds like, I mean, they're calling for defunding of the police, which I get. If you look in the United States, that the police forces have a lot. They're militarized, man. They are militarized, and so I get that's part of the program where their military stuff, when the military's done with it, they give it to the police. I get it. That kind of but they spend money on that as well, to repaint and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how it breaks down exactly, but I'm sure there is some money spent to because normally otherwise they'd be getting green, gear. You get a protective vest in green or camo or beige or whatever, like the military colors, when they have to be like blue or black or whatever color the police are wearing. So yeah, there has to be some money being spent on this stuff to convert it over to the police. I don't know. I don't think federal government's paying for that. I could be wrong, but money's coming from somewhere to do it. So I get the idea, the defunding of the police, partially because the police do a lot of things they're not trained for. In fact, as far as I know, a lot of police in the United States don't receive much training in general. I mean, some places probably receive more than others, and it could be every state is different. Every level, there's so many different levels of policing in the United States that it boggles the mind sometimes. But I get it. The person should not be dealing with people who are mentally ill. You're not trained for that. You shouldn't be dealing with people who essentially should have a social services person, somebody who's gone through the training to empathize with people, to understand what's going on and all that kind of stuff. Those type of things, the police in a lot of areas, that's what they do. They act as that person, and it's like, well, that's not really your job. That should be somebody else's. And so take the money from the police and give it to the people who should be dealing with that, right? So I get that, but yeah, I couldn't believe it. I actually read a report where I think it's Minneapolis is literally going. They've put forth a almost unanimous, or I don't know. I think it was the mayor or something like that was the only person against it, or a couple people, but it was like a super amount of the people involved all voted to not just defund it, but dismantle the police and replace it. So obviously none of these kind of changes happen overnight. But it's changes like that where I'm at least something is happening. I don't think it'll be enough. I don't think it'll be the end, and I think this powder keg is going to continue, and it'll explode again. Yeah, cases in the U.S. continue to rise. Brazil has stopped actually reporting cases on the pandemic. That's how bad it is in Brazil. when it comes to India, they're not doing much testing in general, so their numbers are high, but we're not even, honestly, I think for any place, even here in Ontario, they've opened up the testing here in Ontario, Canada, because testing was only for, have you traveled lately, do you have any symptoms, or have you been in contact with somebody who may or may not, you think may have COVID, or you think you have COVID type thing. Those were restricted. So they'd give you a checklist, and if you didn't meet any of the criteria, I guess they just wouldn't test you. But now it's like they want more testing. They weren't meeting the numbers of testing that they said they needed to have tested, so we want to ramp it up. But here's the thing, they want people who, are you healthy? We want you to report that you're healthy. You don't feel any symptoms, report that online. You can even go to get tested to find out if you have it or have had it. I think we're just if we have it. I don't know that we're doing antibody tests, which is, I believe, what they need to do to find out if you've had it, which is kind of what everybody wants. From what I've been talking to people, my friends and stuff like that, people who have actually gone out and had the test and stuff to find out that they don't, they're not testing positive to it. I think, I could be wrong, but I don't think that the test is for if you've had it. I think it's if you have it. So, but it's one of those things where I'm sure they would love to get, more and more people in there just to sort of rule out if you have it or you don't have it, and better trace where it is, because we are getting fluctuations. Weather is better, so even if restrictions weren't starting to get lifted, people are going out. I mean, we've moved to a position here where outside of the main horseshoe, which we call the horseshoe around Lake Ontario area, the southern portion of Ontario, where the most population is, and all the cities, Toronto's and Hamilton's, and even out to our way, I think we are the edge. The Durham region is the last of it on this side of it. We're still where we are. Everybody else has moved to phase 2. So they've opened up. Essentially, businesses are allowed to open up and such. But they still want you to maintain your social distancing and masks and stuff. And that's simply because the cases outside of this area aren't moving. They've flat. Well, they're generally trending down because the people are beating the disease, or unfortunately passing away from it. So there aren't as many people who have it, and because everything's been so isolated, and the people who do have it have been isolated themselves, there's no way to well, there is a way. I mean, the people treating those patients could technically get it and pass it along, but it's looking good for there. But unfortunately, outside in this populated area, southern Ontario, cases are going up, and people aren't getting tested. So essentially, people who are getting sick, they're the ones getting tested, and of course it's a little late by then, because we all know there's a big period of time where you didn't have any symptoms, where you could have been transmitting it, and unfortunately, more and more stores are opening up. They're allowed to have people in, and it's kind of, I mean, there are, I guess, guidelines set forth as to how many people can be in a certain amount of square footage in a store or something like that. But at the same time, it is up to the people in those stores, the stores themselves, to make sure that the customers are abiding by the rules, which they kind of don't. They clean their shopping carts for the grocery stores. Some of the stores still have the protective gear is still up. They may have masks on. A lot of places don't anymore. They've gone away with the masks and just gone with protective shields, but they come in and out of the protective shields and open them up. It's it is what it is. Depends on the store, depends on the owners and such. Everybody's kind of interpreting rules different ways, and what they have to do. So it really is on the consumers to get the masks on, wear the masks if you're going out, stay home. They open it up from 5 people to 10 people gathering, so now you can have 10 people that you kind of, in your social circle that you can meet with, which isn't too bad. I think 10 is good, as long as it's, if you're only dealing with 10 people, so you have 10 people in a group, right? Obviously, if you all live in the same household, that's considered one group, and you would add on people to that. But if you're going to meet with other people, you only really meet with those 10 people unless it's absolutely necessary, you know, work or something like that. But I think people are kind of reading it like, and I guess you can read it this way, is I can be with 10 people today and a different 10 people, or 9 people today and a different 9 people tomorrow and a different 9 people after that, because I'm always only in 10, right? Sure, I guess you could read it that way. I don't think that would be the best way to read it, because that would really kind of make it pointless. You haven't really... The group hasn't contained. The group is just everybody at that point, right? And you are the attached factor, and everybody else, it just spirals out. That's how these things get out of control, because you can't really contain it at that point, right? If you're doing that stuff. So it depends on how you read it, but I do know some friends who, you know, they have to go out. I do believe daycares are starting to open up again, which I get it. People are going back to work. They need to have their kids looked after. So how do you do it? But daycares, man, they're a cesspool of germs in the best times. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. Hairdressers haven't opened up yet, but they're looking at it. Restaurants haven't opened up yet, but they're looking at restaurants with patios and opening those up some way. Trying to think. Furniture stores, I think, are still closed. I could be wrong. Movie theaters are closed, but drive-ins have opened up. It was weird. There was this period where the drive-ins were able to open up, but their snack bars couldn't open up, even though you can't eat in the drive-in snack bars like a restaurant. It's the same as takeout anywhere else. I don't understand why that was, but apparently that was part of the rules. But now apparently you can go to the drive-in and the snack bar will be open up. So that's at least cool. We're hopefully gonna go to the drive-in at some point, because we've been missing our movies. Trying to think what other big changes have been around here. Camping. Yeah, the parks, camping, all that kind of stuff is starting to open up. There are going to be restrictions. There's restrictions on everything. Nothing is quite the way it would normally be, whether set forth by the government or whether the companies themselves deem it necessary. I do believe that one of the big things right now from our government is that they're trying to push through a bill to not allow class action lawsuits to happen due to what, you know, the things that have gone on because of this pandemic, which I understand. There was no control. There's everybody's just sort of learning and going with it as they, you know, they can. Everybody has different ways of interpreting things. Everybody has different. So really, I mean, I think most of it is with the old age homes, because that's where most of the people are dying. So I think there's a lot of class action lawsuits trying to be come together to do something about it. But yeah, what are you going to do, right? But yeah, it's scary, because as more things open up, that protective bubble I had while I, you know, would have to go, because I have to go out and go to work and stuff like that, the people who had to go to work, that protective bubble is all practically gone here. So it's like almost every man for himself out there in terms of this. So yeah, it's scary. But what can you do? Stay safe. Stay inside if you can. Stay home. And if you can't, good luck. Yeah, that's about all. That's it. Good luck. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you're okay. At least you're probably at home watching the video. I mean, you could be watching it on your phone, but why would you? You need to see this in high def. I am so high def. Anyways, take care. Thanks for watching. Until next video, take care. Have a good one. I just said take care twice.